Okay, so the next couple of lessons we're going to talk about, we sort of mentioned when we talked about the initial costs of buying a home. We talked about a home insurance adjustment, and we talked about property tax adjustment. Now we're actually going to, you own the home, and what are the things you have to do to sort of upkeep your home, keep your home safe, pay whatever the government requires you to do, okay? And so we're going to focus on home insurance, purchasing home insurance for houses and apartments, although you can use it for condos as well, of course, for mobile homes as well. And then we're going to talk about property taxes after that, because these are things that basically you pay monthly, okay? Property taxes are something you have to pay, okay? If you're a homeowner, if you're an apartment owner, you don't have to pay that, okay? Or an apartment renter, you don't have to pay that. Home insurance, like we just talked about, I don't know if there's too many ways where you can get away with not having insurance if you own a home. You might be able to secure a mortgage from some financial institution and they don't require you to have home insurance, but many do, okay? And really, especially for home insurance, it's something you want, because bad things happen. Like, you go out, you put the dishwasher on, you come back in a couple hours later or 3 hours later after you're out for a while, and there was a crack in the dishwasher and it flooded your kitchen, okay? And if you don't have insurance, did that happen to you? Is that why you're laughing or what?
Somebody tripped over and broke my dishwasher.
Oh, I see.
We turned it on, and then when I got home, or when my parents got home, it was everywhere.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And that can wreck the kitchen cabinets, okay? I mean, it could wreck the floor, which can be really expensive to replace. But if you've got home insurance, it's going to be a lot less expensive. If you rent an apartment, like I said, you can get insurance as well. Home insurance protects your property and all the stuff inside your property, inside your house, okay? Or your garage as well. Like, for example, I accidentally, when I was backing up into my garage, this was in the spring, I was backing in with my truck, and I hit I wanted to hit the brake. My foot slipped off the brake and hit the accelerator, and I smacked into the side of the garage, and I put a huge dent in my truck and a huge gouge in the garage door frame. What's that? My truck just got fixed. Actually, my insurance company that I used to fix the garage, they were really quick. And the woman I dealt with was really good. Like, she emailed me every second day saying, have the people come to fix it yet? Have the people come to fix it yet? And if I say no, she goes, okay, I'll contact them and get them there. So she was really good. And I had to pay for some of the repairs, called the deductible, okay? And we'll talk about that in a second. But if I didn't have home insurance, like, I had to pay $1,500 because that's my deductible. But if I didn't have home insurance, I would have had to pay $5,000 to have it repaired. So having home insurance, good thing. So that, basically, the first couple of paragraphs are everything that I talked about, okay? So in Manitoba, you purchase home insurance through what's called an agent or an insurance company broker, okay? There's many insurance businesses in Manitoba, and of course, outside Manitoba, wherever you live, okay? Things you want to look at when you buy home insurance is how much you're going to have to pay a month, what your deductible is, and what kind of things they cover. Okay, because different companies will cover different things. I mean, in Manitoba, if you're living close to one of the rivers, you may want to make sure you have some type of flood insurance, right? Although it's not as bad anymore as it used to be. Okay. But you do want to shop around, and like I actually, even though my insurance company was good, I'm going to shop around next year because it's getting very expensive per month. I pay over $200 a month for home insurance, which is quite expensive. I'm thinking I want to find another place where I can get the same kind of insurance for less. Pretty sure I can. Anyway, so I talked about these briefly. So the home insurance you buy depends on these 5 factors. First is the replacement cost of your home. So let's say your home burns down. Right? So how do they calculate the replacement cost of your home? Well, it's the cost to replace your home if it actually burned down to the ground. Okay? I mean, something else could happen to your home. Maybe there was some kind of gas leak and there was an explosion while you were out. Okay, but that's how they calculate the replacement cost of your home, is how much would it cost to build your home again if it burned to the ground. Okay, the type of coverage that you get. So for your actual house, it's the replacement cost. For all the stuff in your house, it's generally up to 70%. They won't cover everything, but they'll cover most of it. Insurance on, well, what I just talked about, outbuildings such as a garage. You can get coverage for having to live somewhere else, like maybe you have to live in a long-term hotel place while your home is being built again. Okay. And something called third-party liability, and this actually applies when you get car insurance as well. That's protection if somebody else gets injured on your property, or when we talk about vehicles, if you get into an accident. Okay. The location of your home also dictates your insurance, the insurance you have to pay. And what they call it when you pay insurance, they call it a premium. So in Manitoba, it's divided into 4 sections. Metro Winnipeg, everything inside the perimeter, okay? Area 2, well, any homes outside Metro Winnipeg, but within 1,000 feet of a fire hydrant. Area 3, not within 1,000 feet of a fire hydrant, not outside Winnipeg, but you're within 8 miles of a fire hall. Okay, so you're reasonably close to getting a response if there was a fire, because obviously fire is a big concern. And then finally, there's unprotected. Those are the ones that are like way out there, more than 8 miles from a fire hall, nowhere near a fire hydrant, and outside Winnipeg. So depending where you live could dictate how much you have to pay. What kind of coverage do you want? With insurance, there's 2 types: standard, comprehensive. Standard is sort of the basics, okay? Whereas comprehensive, you get coverage on more things. Maybe you get, with standard, you only get so much, or they'll only cover so many things. Comprehensive, maybe they cover additional things like I don't know, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Oh, here, there we go. So if you have sewer backup and expensive jewelry in your house, things like that. There's a couple of examples. Comprehensive, because it covers more, costs a little more, but to be honest, not that much. Okay? So really, if you're looking for the type of coverage, you should choose comprehensive. It's going to cover more stuff. And finally, the amount of, for the amount of deductible. That's how much, if something happened to your home, that's how much you have to pay. Okay? So for example, with my insurance, I have $1,500 deductible, which means no matter what insurance claim I make, whatever happens to my home, I'm going to have to pay $1,500. They'll pay the rest. Obviously, if whatever happened to my home doesn't cost $1,500 to repair, then I'm not going to make a claim, right? Because as soon as I make a claim, I'm going to have to pay $1,500. So if it costs $1,000 to repair, I'm not going to make a claim because I don't have to. Okay.
Is that where they have deductibles, but we can go all the way with the most items?
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
How do insurance fraud?
How what?
Insurance fraud?
Insurance fraud? Well, that's basically when you get payment for something when something really didn't happen to your property. That's what fraud is. Well, yeah, I'm assuming that, yeah, you would do it on purpose. So you somehow make a claim, you're able to get away with making a claim that, because when you do, like when I made my claim for my garage, I had two choices. I pay them the $1,500, and then I use the company, the repair company that the insurance company suggests. Or I pay the $1,500 and the insurance company gives me the rest of the money to go to whoever I want to get it repaired. So you see how you can get money, right? So that raises the possibility of fraud. And then finally, you can get discounts on your insurance for things like this. If you don't make a claim for a long time, okay, that's good. That'll give you discounts. If you've got a burglar alarm, if it's a new home, assuming it's in better shape, age of the client. So if you're over 50 years old, you could get a discount, like a senior's discount, okay? Things like that. Okay. And remember, you can also get apartment insurance, but it doesn't cover the property. It only covers the stuff inside. Okay. So how is insurance calculated? They use a couple of tables. Okay. So the first, this is on the last page of this lesson. The first table is house insurance. And this is if you want to purchase 500 deductible, which means if something happens and you have to make a claim, you have to pay $500. Okay? So if they're going to cover this amount, these amounts, these are the amounts you have to pay for standard and comprehensive in the 4 areas. So let's say you live in Metro Winnipeg, you want $200,000 coverage and you want comprehensive, well, you would go down here. So we want $200,000. We live in Winnipeg. We want comprehensive insurance. So we go down here. We're going to have to pay $771 for the year. Okay? But people are going to get coverage for more than that, because houses are generally more expensive than $200,000. So if you want to get, say, $500,000 coverage or $1 million, you have to pay an additional, you have to pay an additional $3.50 for every $1,000. Okay, so that's going to increase it. So like, let's say you had $1 million home, or you want coverage for $1 million. Okay. You'd have to pay $771 for 200,000. And then for 800,000, you'd have to pay $3.50 for each 800,000. Each thousand is 800,000, which means there's 800 of them. So if you did 800 times $3.50 for each 1,000, you'd have to pay an additional 2,800, 2,800. And this, which means 3,500, over 3,500 insurance, $1 million insurance. Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible, but you know, that's still going to cost you about $300 a month. So, which is a fairly significant chunk. But that being said, if you own $1 million home, chances are you can afford it. Okay. Down here is tenant refers to renting. Okay. So tenant means a renter. Obviously, you're not going to get as much coverage because it's only going to cover the stuff that's in your apartment. So you can see here, if you want $75,000 coverage and you want comprehensive insurance, it's going to be $454. That doesn't matter where you live. Okay. So let's do a couple of questions, which is sort of the main focus of this unit. So the Tam family, they own a home with a replacement value of $185,000, which is these days pretty non-existent. The home's in Winnipeg. The family wants comprehensive insurance. They want $500 deductible. So using the table, and the table will always be given to you. You don't have to memorize anything. So 185,000. They live in Winnipeg. They want comprehensive, so we go down the comprehensive column until we hit 185,000. $702. That's a pretty straightforward one. So this would be seven. So from the table, $702. And remember, that's per year. This family, they own a home with a replacement value of $220,000. The home is outside Winnipeg, but within 1,000 feet of a fire hydrant. That means area 2. Okay? They're only going to choose standard insurance, $500 deductible. So using the table, we're going to have to do 2 calculations. We're going to have to use the table to find out for $200,000 of their $225,000 home, and then we're going to have to do an extra calculation for the extra $25,000.
So for the 200,000, they're within 1,000 feet, so we said it's area 2, standard, which means I go down here,
And they're gonna have to pay $519
for 200,000. So for 200,000, they pay,
got the amount. 519.
but they're not getting 200,000.
They're getting 220,000.
So for the extra 20,000, they are going to pay
Going back to the table again, they have to pay $2.75 for every $1,000 extra.
well, how many extra thousands are they getting? Just do 20,000 divided 20. Or 20,000 divided 1,000, pardon me.
That tells you how many times they have to pay $2.75.
So we multiply that by $2.75.
And we get the extra amount they have to pay, which is
$55
per year.
So in total, for the 200 and the extra 20,000, in total, 519 plus 55, $574 per year.
The last example, we've got an apartment renter. Okay, or a tenant. Her personal possessions have a replacement value of 30,000, but she wants a deductible of 200, not 500. We need to calculate her annual insurance, how much she pays per year. So, doesn't matter, like I said, doesn't matter where you are when you're a renter. Go to the replacement value. What did she want? She wants comprehensive.
So we've got 30,000. She wants comprehensive, which means
She's going to have to pay $226. That's if she did 500 deductible.
but she wants 200 deductible, which means
We have to increase this by 10%. So we have to take 10% of this and add it to 226.
so to find hers, her insurance premium for the year, we had
$226
plus 10% of $226.
That's what her total is going to be.
So using math symbols, it would be 226 plus, got to change 10% to a decimal, of means multiplied. So we're gonna do 226 times 0.1 plus 226. So that's $226 plus 2260. Gives us a total amount of $248.60. Okay.
So remember, you're gonna have to do some extra calculations if it's home insurance, if it's more than $200,000, and if you want a lower deductible. And for apartment insurance, you're gonna have to do the same thing, possibly. Okay.